Hello everyone, it's Infinity Break, coming at you today with another little mod review. Now, I know today I might sound a little sick, mostly because I'm getting over a cold that lasted about a day or so excuse me if I sound a little bit sick, but I'm going to do my best to power through this and provide a very good review for you, and hopefully that doesn't get in the way. So today's mod is the Azure Tree by HANKDTANK. This is a wonderful little adventure mod that's added into Skyrim and Skyrim Special Edition. I tested out the Skyrim Special Edition version of this mod. I think it has a couple of issues, but I think overall it's an actually pretty interesting mod. Today I'm going to go over what I liked about this mod, what I disliked or think could use some work, what kind of things you can expect from this mod, and would I recommend it, and if I do, who would I recommend it to? So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? So yes, like I said earlier, the Azure Tree is a wonderful little adventure mod that has added into Skyrim Special Edition as well as Skyrim Legendary Edition, depending upon which version that you download. Both links will be down in the description if you want to check it out. The Azure Tree is a wonderful little mod that adds in the legend of the Azure Tree. The Azure Tree is a magical, wonderful little legend that was added into Skyrim through this mod, and it essentially is this magical, mystical little thing that people seem to be looking for, or at least a specific group of people in Skyrim are looking for, and actually holds a big treasure, a big payoff, something to entice you to go looking for it. There isn't really much about the tree itself. There are a lot of notes and speculation in this mod, which I do like, but it never answers exactly what the Azure Tree is. Some people count it as a being, some people count it as just a legend, some people count it as a treasure itself. But the tree is never exactly explained to be anything. I like this aspect, the concept is interesting, and I really did enjoy the story behind it. The notes that you'll find, all the little books you'll read about it, they actually are very well done, albeit a little, here and there are a couple typos, a little bit of grammar issues, but for the most part, 90% to 95% of what I read was pretty good. I would recommend the mod author go through and maybe reword one or two things, but for the most part, I did enjoy reading all the notes and stuff. There were a lot of little funny notes too, just little funny tidbits here and there, and all of the notes and other such little journals and notes and guides and everything that I read through were pretty good. You can start your little adventure by going to this place called the Telbane Residence. It is just outside of Riften. It is very close by to there. If you find it, there should be a hidden room with a guide in it. My one issue, the first thing I came across, was the guide. The Azure guide itself isn't very helpful in pointing out where the locations are. It only tells you what the locations are, what kind of things they would look like, and what kind of things they'll hold. It doesn't tell you at all, it doesn't give you any hint whatsoever as to where these locations are at. I would have been fine with this if it just said, oh, it's near Riften, or it's east of Rorikstead, or doesn't give you an exact location, but it starts you off. Because I know the mod author said the idea was to go and look for it themselves, but it kind of got annoying not knowing at all where to begin looking for a lot of these locations. So, but there is a guide in the WinRAR file. If you look and download it manually, one of the files within the file that you downloaded is a guide and does give you the exact locations. I just wish I didn't have to go through that. Instead, I could just read the Azure guide and have an idea of where to look and find it myself. So yes, that's one of the first issues that I came across with the mod. The other issue I found was not the dungeons, but the lack of nav meshing in the dungeons. I understand the creator said that he worked about almost 2 years on this, if I'm not mistaken, which I did see a lot of effort in. But I did notice that no nav meshing meant no companions, and I got a little bit annoyed because if you guys know me, I love my companions. This is a minor note. It's not something that will ruin your experience, but it did kind of take away from it. Because like I said, I use my companions in these mods reviews to test out armors and weapons, and I give them to my companions and they test them out so I get footage. So I had severely less footage of stuff, which in my opinion kind of frustrated me a little bit. But I dealt with it, and besides that, the dungeons were very well laid out, very well made, and I did like the concept and the stories behind each one of them when there were stories that were actually in them. So you'll be going to each one of these dungeons that is listed out in the Azure guide and in the WinRAR file if you're looking through the guide itself in the mod file. You will be going to each of these dungeons to find a key for a place to an underground ruin that leads to the Azure Tree. Once you find all of these keys and go to the place themselves, you will be met with a very big underground cavern where the Azure Tree resides. Reminds me of Blackreach. It's very nice down there. The only issue that I had with this place was that it's a little too expansive. I felt myself walking for way too long with nothing to do half the time. A lot of the objects that I did find and a lot of the structures underground were kind of nice. I liked fighting enemies in them, but in between each area there was too much walking, and I did notice a lot of the walls and stuff were clipping in. I could see through the world in some parts, and a lot of stuff wasn't smoothed out. So I would recommend the mod author go back through if not shorten, then at least patch up these areas to make the areas look nicer and fix up a couple things here and there. But besides that, this mod's underground area was very beautiful, if not a little bit too big. Like I said, if you just shorten the area a little bit, lower the walking distance between some of these structures and key areas, then maybe the area will be a little bit more enjoyable in my opinion, because then you wouldn't be wasting a lot of people's times where they have to walk through a lot of the area just doing nothing. Another thing I noticed underground, and it was very bizarre, this is something I definitely feel like the mod author has to go back through and fix. Some of the enemies were clipping into the walls and into the floors and jumping around. I'll show footage of what I mean, as it happened I think once or twice. After the first 2 times though, I didn't notice it. It was in the first area that I went through. One of the first 5 areas I went through underground. So I would just go through and fix that. I feel like that was just something to do with how they spawned. Maybe they were partially stuck in the ground. I'm not entirely sure how that works with programming, but I did notice this and would fix it right away, please. The Azure tree itself is very beautiful. I did like a lot of the areas surrounding it. The areas underground that you go through are kind of nice. I did like fighting a lot of the enemies. And I think that overall the dungeons and everything laid out were actually pretty nice. The payoff at the end, the treasure, is very big, and I like the treasure. I like it that it was just very expensive. A lot of chests, a lot of gold, a lot of armors, a lot of weapons, a lot of expensive things to sell. Really nice, big payoff, and I did enjoy that because it was a pretty, not like lengthy, but a pretty, I suppose you could say, demanding adventure. You had to go find a lot of this stuff on your own, and once you do find it, it's a pretty big payoff, which is kind of nice. The manor that you get at the end, the player home, is pretty good. It has a lot of the things that you'll need in them, but like I said before, isn't nav mesh, so a lot of companions can't rest in here with you or do anything like that, so it's not very good for any sort of immersion thing if you have anybody following you. And I did notice the dog companion that you will get. At the very end of the mod, there is no option to send him away, and he's unkillable. So at points, I found it annoying that he was following me. I had to disable him to gather some of the footage that you're seeing in the background when it came to the actual still shots. I couldn't keep him, and I just was a little bit annoyed with that. So if you could just add an option to maybe tell him to wait somewhere, or to go back home or somewhere, then that would be nice. Like I said, a lot of little issues that need to be smoothed out, but the general idea and the general concept of the mod, as well as the general gameplay, is actually pretty solid. I like the narrative, I like what the mod is going for. It definitely has a lot of heart into it, and I did like that. I did enjoy a lot of the books and the writings, like I said before, and I feel like the payoff is actually pretty good. There aren't really any custom weapons or armors in this mod, but at the same time, a lot of the weapons that you do find have unique effects on them, and the armor itself is pretty strong compared to most counterparts of that variation of armor, so it was excusable to a point, especially since I get that not everybody is super into models and all that other nonsense, but I would recommend maybe finding someone to make it a little bit more unique, as it does add a little bit more to your mod. Besides these little details, like I said, enjoyable mod. Needs a little bit of work. Right now it's kind of a rougher kind of gemstone, but if you polish it, you'll get a nice shiny diamond. And I feel like I definitely want to see how the mod author continues with this. I wouldn't mind testing out future versions for him or her, and if the mod author ever came to me and told me that they were working on another mod, I'd be very excited to check it out for him. So I recommend this to you if you're looking for an adventure mod, if you're looking for something with a big payoff at the end of it, or just a mod that's very narratively driven and unique. I do like this concept. I do hope to see the mod author continue to improve this mod. And like I said, if you need any testing at all, HANKDTANK, let me know. I'm happy to test stuff out for you. I'm happy to give you advice or anything that you might need to do. And I'd be happy to do any sort of help I can possible. Just let me know. Either way, I hope you guys check this one out. Links to both versions will be down in the description, and like I said, I hope the mod author improves this one a little further, because this one has a lot of potential. I hope you guys have enjoyed this mod review. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Until then, this has been Infinity Break, reminding you to say it with me now. Play well, eat well, and of course live well, friends. I hope you guys go out there and strive to break infinity, and I hope you guys have a nice day, night, evening, wherever and whenever you're at. If you guys have any mods or anything you want me to test out, have anything you want me to review or cover, any topics you want me to cover in the future, or any sort of theories that you want me to also make videos on, let me know. Either way, I hope you guys take it easy, and I'll see ya in the next video.